We move on to agenda item number 11. Notice of motion to end fuel poverty. Councillor McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And you have 5 minutes.
Hopefully I won't need that. I'm sure we're all aware of the impact of the cost of living crisis. Fuel poverty is defined as when a household can't afford to keep its home adequately warm. I am dealing with an unprecedented number of housing cases, as I'm sure many of my colleagues here are as well tonight. Many of these relate to mould and damp, exacerbated by high fuel prices, leading to colder homes. It is a hidden problem. Most people don't like to come forward about it. Fuel poverty has risen in the UK from 6.1% of households when I first got elected to Brighton Hill South in 2016 to 13.4% now, less than 7 years later. It disproportionately hits the elderly and vulnerable. I have cases with sheltered housing where at least 2 housing associations involved where the rent rises have been capped but the service charges have gone up massively, in some cases by as much as 400%. This means many of our most vulnerable elderly residents are facing destitution and or financial ruin. In one case, a resident on £907 a month is having to give over £700 in rent and charges to the housing association, with what's left having to cover food, clothes and any essential services not covered by the service charge. These people need our help right now. We've had presentations at the Climate Emergency Map about our 2 busiest housing associations, Sovereign and Vivid, and their plans to upgrade their homes to be more energy efficient and carbon neutral. This process will take years and we don't have that time. I would therefore ask that this council takes a proactive and cooperative approach going forward, with a council leader, whoever it is after May, taking a lead on this. Thank you.
Whilst I support the spirit of the motion, I cannot support and vote for the motion because I believe the responsibility lies with others. But thank you again, Councillor McCormick, for bringing this. Thank you.
No more speakers than that. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I shall be quick. There seems to be some sort of discrepancy here, but with people saying they support the spirit of the motion, they like what we're saying. I think this. I would like to commend, as the motion says, we note the good work that this borough is already doing. But there's more we can do. And I think what this motion is seeking to do is to say, yes, we've done good, we've done well, but there is more we can do. And this is a motion that ties together the existing measures we have and to seek to work on future measures so that this situation doesn't continue. It's not really more I can say. I hope you can support the motion and that you know, you can see that we're not trying to denigrate or take away from the work that we already do, but we're trying to say this is great, but we need to move it forward. And this motion does try to tie that up and work on a future strategy to complement what our officers and this borough are already doing for people who are suffering in fuel poverty.
Councillor McCormick, would you like to sum up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yes, I too sense I think there's a bit of a disconnect going on here. This motion isn't intended to criticise what the council's already doing, but the problem that I've identified needs a resolution, needs a long-term solution, which is what this motion is aimed at. And the examples I've cited in my speech tonight are people who, in spite of the Green Team, in spite of all these notices on the website, are in such dire straits that some of them are, you know, they can't afford to live in sheltered accommodation. Some of them have got nowhere to go. I've got a 90-year-old constituent who's going to move out of sheltered accommodation and live with a son because he can't afford to live at home. And I would like to commend the officers who, when I mailed them offline with very short notice, have come up with action plans to go into some of these sheltered accommodations and offer help and advice, because asking a 90-year-old who's not web literate to go on the website and apply for a green grant when they're living in sheltered accommodation and it's not within their gift to start actions to make the place that they live more green. I think there's things that just aren't understood that are underpinning this motion. This is why I brought this motion in front of you, because it's patently obvious to me that in spite of what we're doing, we still have people that are in such a bad position they can't afford to live because of their fuel bills. And that's in spite of things like the energy price guarantee. That's in spite of things like the £400 that the government have put in their bank account. So I'm immensely grateful for the officers who've put together an action plan at very short notice. And it's not just me, there are councillors in other wards and other parties that have had similar things, and other boroughs as well, that have picked up on this problem. And it is an extreme problem. We can't be complacent about this. That's why I want you to vote for this motion, because if you don't, the people out there aren't going to say, oh, well, they supported the spirit of the motion, but they can't support the letter of the motion. They'll just think, you don't care about fuel poverty. So I would urge you to support this motion. If you support the spirit of it, why can't you support the letter of it? Thank you.
Councillor McCormack, thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded, and we'll be putting this to the vote. We have... Vote up, please. Is that it? And thus the motion is carried. Thank you. Right, moving on to agenda item number 12, notice of motion, community asset transfer policy, and Councillor Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fellow councillors.